Welcome to It's All in Your Head podcast, season 2. I'm Michelle Walker, and I'm here with my colleague, Tara Ray. Today, we're going to talk about the world opening back up and what that means. Tara, you and I kind of have different ideas about this, and I love it when you and I disagree on things. Tell me how you're feeling about this.
Well, the whole pandemic, I've been very cautious. And I think you've been cautious too, but you've been more open. Like for people who don't know, I guess they assume, but we work together. And I have not been in our office in a year. And you've continued to work in the office. And so that's been a difference. I mean, always following CDC guidelines, of course, but I've just been a lot more cautious to say the least. And even just thinking about this process of opening up as kind of it's got me feeling a little bit different. And for people who don't know, we live in Georgia, which has been one of the most controversial states during this whole pandemic. We've had some of the highest numbers. We're ranked very low, or where it comes to getting people vaccinated. And recently, the governor of this state has decided that we should open things up to capacity. And I'm not feeling that comfortable with that.
Yes, and I have kind of an opposite view of that, just because I'm thinking more in terms of watching people lose their livelihood and what it's done to the economy. And I know the governor's thinking more in terms of that too, of how it's affected, because we have so many people who own their own businesses in Georgia and are small business owners, and working up there like we do. We own our own business, so we work on a floor of offices where they're all individual business owners. Right. And we saw many of those people shut down and have to stop their businesses and things. And so the faster we open back up, the less likely it will be that those small businesses have to close. And so that was the thinking of the governor of Georgia. We have a lot of small businesses in Georgia, and I have continued to go to work every single day, many times being the only person or one of a very few people who were actually in the office there. It was very creepy sometimes, being the only person there. And I did that because for my own mental health, I needed the routine. I needed to keep my routine in place for my own mental health. And I believe that's the only reason I did it. I wasn't worried because there was nobody else there. And so for me, that was my protection, right? Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I still wore my mask in any public areas if there was anybody else around, which there wasn't. And I did, as things started to open back up a little bit, I gave my clients the option of coming back in person if they wanted, and they could wear their masks inside the office. Mm-hmm. Or not. We were 6 feet apart. The office is big enough for us to sit 6 feet apart. But many people, once they were given the option of returning, started to return in person, I believe because they were just lonely and needed the contact. Mm-hmm. And now that I've given people the option of in-person or virtual, I have about 3/4 of my clients coming in person. Mm-hmm. And about 1/4 of them doing virtual at this point in time. And as I've asked them, how they feel about being there in person, they feel okay. I wipe down everything, handles and whatever, with antibacterial wipes. We still sit 6 feet apart. If they want both of us wearing a mask, I comply with that. If they want to keep a mask on, even though I'm already completely vaccinated, whatever makes them comfortable, I will do, and they do too. I haven't gotten COVID during any of this, and so whatever I've done has worked. Mm-hmm. And I just had to do, I think, what was good for my mental health, and for me, that was routine.
Mhm.
And so that's why my routine stayed the way it did. What about for you, Tara?
I think for me, I've gotten comfortable working at home, and for a minute, I think it was maybe, I want to say maybe earlier this year, it had gotten to the point where it was like just too much, and I probably needed to do something different. Um, and it was suggested that I go into the office at least one day a week. And for some reason, that gave me way more anxiety. So I didn't do that. I just started to shift where in my house I worked. And that helped a little bit. I think that I'm feeling the need to get out. And so I tested it. A friend of mine was celebrating her birthday, and we actually went on a trip. And the anxiety that I felt, I could barely enjoy myself being there. So it was like, oh my gosh, I don't know what to do because I had so much anxiety surrounding COVID. So I know you and I had talked about back, what do we do? And at first, I had told everyone I'm going for herd immunity. I don't know if you remember us having that conversation. He's like, no, I'm going to get vaccinated. And I'm like, I'm going for herd immunity. Because for people who don't know, as clinicians, we've been eligible since phase one because we're healthcare workers. But I just was like, oh, I don't want to. But that experience going on that trip, looking over my shoulder, watching everybody, giving people the side eye because you sniffled or you coughed, and just the level of anxiety that I felt all the time made me decide that I would get vaccinated. And I'm halfway through that process, but I still feel leery of going out a lot. I do some things, but not a lot. I still don't really go to grocery stores and do all those things. Um, the only time I go and get my nails done is if I have something that I would consider to be very special that I need to have my nails done for, where before that was part of my regular routine. I just don't know. I am looking forward though to seeing people in person. I'll say that, but I still am uncomfortable with this carte blanche. Let's open everything up, because what I think will happen is that where you have been responsible and safe, I don't think that everybody will do that. That's what I'm concerned about. And I know I can't live for other people and I can't have anxiety for them and their behavior. I can only monitor me. But in me monitoring me, that means you stay away from people if that's how they're going to be acting. And that's what I'm concerned about. I'm concerned about young people just saying, oh, well, the world is open. Let's just do everything we used to do. Because even before it was, you would see people still gathering in these large groups, not even considering. You would still see people not wearing masks. And then some people have taken to the idea of this is going on too long. If I'm going to get it, I'm just going to get it.
Well, and I think that some people have just felt that way, um, because the loneliness has just
Mm-hmm.
become unbearable, and I
Mm-hmm.
think that that's what has been the problem. And the thing about this is it's not going away. COVID is here to stay, and
Mm-hmm.
we'll probably have to be vaccinated every year against it because it's now changing and mutating just like viruses do, which means that every year they're going to need to have a new vaccine for it. And it's now a part of our life. And so I'm thinking in terms of how am I going to function within my world, knowing that this is just going to be part of it. And unfortunately, it is a new reality. And I mean, I guess we just have to start adapting to the fact that there's one more thing out there like cancer that people can get that might kill us. And I mean, that's unfortunate. And especially in my age group, because I turned 60 this year and we're in that high risk age group. And I got a rare side effect of the vaccine, which is something called a reactive cough. And about 2 weeks after I got my first shot, I developed a cough because my body was trying to develop the antibodies, and it started developing symptoms of COVID. Although I tested negative for COVID on twice, they tested me twice, so it didn't have COVID, but I had a cough, and I'm still having some cough. It's taking forever to go away, and that was not fun at all.
Mhm.
And if this is anything what people, had experienced, that's not fun at all. But some of it, the reasons why I think it's taking so long to go away is just my age. But I think it's just part of our new reality. And if it's going to be part of my new reality, I guess I want to live it up, you know. Let's just live life to the fullest and just get out of it what I can. Who knows how long it's going to last, which is kind of my idea about it at this point. And maybe that's a fatalistic view. I don't know. But I'm just really,
I'm working my way up to some
mm,
things. But I still just feel like, oh, just like not all at once. Where's the faith? And I understand because we're small business owners and we've been blessed to be able to have the option to work virtually. Everybody doesn't have that option. So I understand that too. And I feel for those small businesses that have closed or were not able to make the adjustments they needed to still be able to thrive. So I have I feel bad for that, but I still just want people to really consider how they do this process. I'm not saying don't, because I'm ready. I can't wait till we can be in the same room and give each other a hug. I haven't
mhm.
seen you. The last time I saw you in person, I know I looked like I was getting off the space shuttle because I had on my glasses, I had on a mask, I had on the face shield, I had on gloves because I was still like, I don't know how this is gonna go. I had so much stuff on, you barely
I
recognized me.
didn't
So,
recognize you.
so I was like, I want to make sure that we're doing, that just if everyone can take that level of responsibility.
Yeah.
And that's just part, I know my anxiety. I know it is just being able to just not try to live for everybody else and what they're doing and the decisions that they're making.
Well, and my worry too, I think, is about us as a society, is that being able to see each other's smiles and to
Mhm,
feel each other's energy, to really
mhm,
feel the energy we give for each other is an important thing. It actually, there are bonding hormones in the brain that fire, from those things. Not being able to see each other's smiles, different things like that, really it separates that bonding that we have as human beings. And we're already, because of electronics, people will say the meanest things to each other because they're hiding behind electronics. That's already become a reality. And it's already separated us as a human race way too much. And I'm just so worried about the further separation that I see happening.
mhm,
And this is just more and more separation to where each person has just become this isolated island. And I'm all about connection and really want to see people connect in every way possible. And that's done in person. It's done by touch, it's done by smiles, it's done by the energy that we give off from each other. And I'm all for that. I really believe in that, and that's a passion that I have. And I see that just disappearing more and more and more. And the more it disappears, the less compassion we have for each other, and the less that we can see each other as a human being. And
mhm.
I'm afraid of what the end result of that will be, you know? And so I'm seeing it more on a picture of like the whole human race, and not liking where I can see that going personally on a bigger scale. What do you think about that?
I hear you, but then I feel like I can tell you're smiling at me by your eyes. I don't really need to see your mouth and your nose if you're not doing the things that you're supposed to be doing, because the whole face changes. And I know it's been an adjustment, and sometimes you wonder what's going on under that mask, but I don't know. I don't know. I'm still weighing it out. I'm still weighing it out. Like I said,
Mhm.
I know my eyes smile when I smile, so I'm assuming everybody else's does too. So I want people again. It's that, but I know that I'm self-aware enough to know that a lot of it has to do with my anxiety, my own personal anxiety, and
Mhm.
that everybody doesn't share that. And so because I understand that, then it's like, okay. Because I even think about some of the things that my own children say. They're all grown though. They don't have to do what I say or do what I do. But I think about the things that they've said because I know one of my sons said to me, Mom, people are not going to keep wearing these masks all the time. They're just not going to do it. And I said, I understand. I understand that they're not, but them not wearing their mask has nothing to do with me. So I get it.
Well, and
I,
one of my clients from that works for the CDC told me that the masks, especially the masks that we're wearing, unless they're the really heavy duty N95 masks, really don't make a huge difference. That it's more just making us feel better. And so I don't know how much difference they're really making, you know? So they're making a small difference, obviously, because I wasn't sick at all this year, you
mhm.
know, and usually I get a cold or two, at least a sniffle throughout the year and didn't get sick at all. So they made some sort of difference.
Mhm. Yeah. And I guess I don't know. And like I said, at first it was like for me, anything that I hear can make a difference. I'm willing to try. But
Mhm.
this point, like I said, I'm just concerned that, and I know overwhelmingly African American people have been affected more in the death rates. So those things, just all of those things concern me. I just want people to be responsible. Do whatever it is you're going to do, but be responsible. I too want to get back out. That's why I made the choice to be vaccinated. I want to get out without the high levels of anxiety. I want to see my clients in person. I want to work with some of my kids and do the things that we've done before in office. I'm the biggest slime maker around when it comes to doing treatment with kids. We do all kinds of arts and crafts and things like that. And these things are just most effective if we can be in person in the same room. So it's just, it's a trade-off. I'm still concerned. And I feel like some of it to me, even though it's economic and that's important, it's also political and that concerns me. I don't think that just because I don't think that just because you have the ability to make a decision that affects a lot of people, kind of to me, you know, unilaterally, that you should. I think that there should be more talk. I think, or you should come out with all of the facts that you use to make your decision. And that's the issue that I have with this governor. He makes decisions and he doesn't always explain his reasoning behind the decisions that he's making.
So everybody's less of leaves you guessing, and you don't like to be guessing. You want
No,
to know
because
what
it
it's
adds to my anxiety. No, I don't want to be guessing. I want to know what you're doing. I shouldn't have to figure it out. If you're making a decision for me, you should tell me all of the information that you use to make that decision. That's what becomes concerning to me. Not that you shouldn't make it, but just tell me why you did so
Mm.
that I can feel more at ease that you're utilizing something more than your, well, like what we tell, I did it because I wanted to kind of, you know, thought process. So
Yeah.
that's the part of it. But
I think that's a reasonable request. I think you could write that to the governor's office. Please just tell me why.
yeah, just tell me why. Please just tell me why. That's all. And I'm sure I'm not the only one who feels that way.
Mhm.
And we watch, I mean, like I said, we live in probably one of the most, if not the most controversial states right now. So, you know, everybody's decisions in a sense are being questioned on the legislative level. And so we just want to, and the government and the gubernatorial level. We just want to make sure that you're being considerate as you're making these decisions. That's all. And sometimes I don't feel like he is. I don't feel like he's being considerate as he's making these decisions. And then there's fallout on both ends, you know.
Okay. All right. Well, I'm kind of actually I'm pretty happy about it. And I'm looking forward to doing things where we get to do more things in person, and really getting back to especially my single clients that really want to do more connecting
Right.
and meeting people in person. And
Mm-hmm.
I'm excited about doing more of that. And we've talked about how we're going to do more of that in the future and have
Mm-hmm.
more relationship workshops where people can learn. And there's something that I thought of recently as I was talking to a couple that I think might be important to kind of help people understand. And that is that until you know the rules of relationships, you really aren't mature enough to have one.
Mm-hmm.
And you just and I think that all of us need to know what those rules are and stop breaking those rules, because we're just breaking people along the way.
Mm-hmm.
We're breaking all the rules of relationships. And I would love to be out there really telling people what those rules are because I didn't know what they were either, and
Mm-hmm.
just went about my way just breaking relationships and breaking people.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think it's necessary. I think it's things that we could tell people even when they're young and just really let them know that there are rules in relationships that if you follow them, your relationships will work. If you don't follow these rules, they won't. I mean, it's really pretty simple, you know.
Especially when they're young. I call it leaving rubble in your wake.
Yeah, the rule in your wake. I like that.
Yes, because we, when we're younger and we're more carefree in a sense, we don't always take people's feelings and things like that. We're not considerate. Most
Right.
young people are not, and especially if you've been hurt, in your goal to not be hurt again, what you'll do is I call it leave rubble in your wake. So it's just that you'll live, and sometimes it's like a freight train over people and their feelings. And we believe that we have the license to be that way because we're being honest, or we told you the truth, or we told you kind of what we were in this for, not considering that this person might have a different take and different feelings. And just because that's how you feel, you don't have the right to do that to everybody or to anyone that you come into contact with. So I am excited about us doing those relationship, or what we're calling like making organic connection seminars, because it's such a needed thing and it will help so many people even in their family relationships. Because what I'm noticing, and maybe that's the thing too, because I have traditionally known people to be boundary violators, and because of that I'm a lot more cautious when I deal with people. So, and that probably is spilling over into my whole reaction dealing with COVID, because I don't want you to violate my boundary related to that. So because of that, I'm going to think for you. And if you don't wear on one mask, I got two. So that kind of thing.
That's a good point. That's a good
Yeah.
point. I like to tell people where relationships are concerned, it's kind of like, remember that porcelain figurine at grandma's house that you weren't allowed to touch when you were little because you would break it,
Mm-hmm.
and because you didn't know how to handle it carefully enough. And
Mm-hmm.
I think of relationships that way, that until you know how to handle them carefully enough, you
Mm-hmm.
can't touch them.
We have so many similar analogies. Mine is the eggs. We never let kids crack the eggs when they make the cake, because why? They're going to put shells into the cake batter. And that's what it is, because they don't know how to do it correctly. So it's the same kind of thing. It's like
That's true.
we want to make sure that people are being as responsible as they can. Well, we don't want to make sure. I'm just saying, make sure. I want you to make sure you're being as responsible as you can be as we get out here and living. This is a big birthday year for me. I want to do something in person. So, I got some ideas that I'll share with you offline. But yeah, I want to do these things. I'm the party person. I'm always doing something that I consider to be fun for everybody around my birthday. So,
Yeah, by June, we should
yeah,
do
for
that.
people who would come with, yes. So I'm
Everybody,
excited about all of that.
everybody can get vaccinated now in Georgia, 16 and older. So
It's interesting because I see a lot of teenagers, and most of my teenagers, especially those with anxiety, have chosen to be vaccinated.
and
And it's like, oh, okay, you know, because I was like, nope, I'm going for herd immunity. I'm not doing it. Not tested long enough. Not this, not that. But I talked to all of my doctors because I have an allergist. I have severe allergies, so I talked to my primary care physician who actually thought that it would be best before she gave me advice around the vaccination for me to talk to my allergist, and I did. I was retested with for my allergies recently, so I took preliminary steps prior to being vaccinated also, just to make sure what I'm dealing with now, because as you age your allergies do change. And so I did that. I wanted to make sure for me though, most important was me praying and just getting a sense of peace about
yeah.
going forward. And then talking to my doctors and seeing what they had to say about it. And after that is when I made my decision. So I waited. I'm sure even though we were eligible when in January, I
Yeah, I
waited
have mine in
until
February.
April.
Mhm.
So that that's something. And I think too, believe it or not, and this just came to me, I think that people who, because a year is a long time, and now it's
Mhm.
been over a year. So I think that people they're gonna even need some education around reconnecting.
Right.
Says because we have been so disconnected for so long that
Mhm.
that's going to be important too. So again, like I said, I'm excited to get out, but I'm cautious, even overly so. But that's me. I'm cautious about the getting out process. But I do
Mhm.
think that it will be good for people if people are responsible. What I don't want to see, I think, is a spike, another spike, because we haven't been open and have been having spikes.
Mhm.
So I just want to be able to see people be safe, be considerate about the process as we go forward with this.
Mhm. Okay, well, I think that's good. That's good words of caution.
So I want us to be able to do stuff. So I'm with you, kind of. I'm trying to be with you all the way. I'm with you, kind of. So
Okay, cool.
and just different things. My husband got a boat. We had a lot of stuff we could be
Got
doing.
a
Yes,
boat? Oh,
yes,
fun. I want to go boating.
yes. So it's like we have incentive. We have incentive
We
to get
do.
out there and do things, but it's just the caution part of it. We want to be we want to be safe. And I think that part of it, even though this was difficult, it's been easier for me because I've got a pretty healthy relationship. So me being at home has not been that hard, you
Yeah.
know. So those are some other things to think about too. As we're seeking, because many people, especially those who are single, they have goals to be in relationships. But what they've gotten an opportunity to do during this time, even though it's been hard, is to really do a lot of self-reflection.
Yeah,
And
I've had clients, my clients have worked really hard. Some have had to end relationships that should have been ended. Others have had to work on their relationships, like really
yep,
work. I had one that was getting ready to separate that had to stay, and now they've decided to stay together through a lot of hard work this year.
mhm,
Um, I have a really good relationship. My husband's been home most of this year, He's been a great house husband. I've not had to shop. I've not had to clean. I've not had to cook. You know, I've worked really hard,
Mhm.
but he's done everything else. And that's been really nice. We just got word that he'll be called back to work in the fall, but
Mm,
that'll have been like almost a year and a half of him being out of work.
mhm,
So, yeah, I mean, there's been a lot of tough things, but it does help to have a really good relationship for sure. And
mhm.
you and I are really blessed in that way.
Yes,
But
definitely.
we've fought hard to become healthy people to have healthy relationships.
Exactly, exactly. And I think because of that, it's been easier for us to teach people how to do that. We're
Yeah,
those lifelong learner teachers, is what I would say, that we've had to learn lessons and go through things and prove them and test them. And now we can tell people for certainty things that definitely work. So
yeah,
I think that that's great. And just too, if anybody ever has any questions, that's what we always, forget that people can comment, they can ask questions, they can ask
yeah.
us stuff, and we'll answer. We'll answer you. You, we'll let you know what we really think about things. One thing about Michelle, she's a little nicer than I am in that regard, but we're both very candid. So we'll definitely tell
You've
you
done
for sure
nice. whatever.
whatever it is you need to know. So, or whatever question that you have, we're eager to answer those things and address your questions about mental health. So, it's so important. And that's another thing that I feel has been awesome. There have been more conversations about mental health this year than I've heard. Yes, this is Mental Health Awareness Month, but through the pandemic, many people have really shined a light on how important it is to be healthy, not only in your body, but also mental health. So that's great. That's awesome. And that brings me to a question. What kind of things have you been doing, Michelle, to take care of yourself?
Well, I love to make jewelry. I make all these jewelry that you see me wear, and I just get obsessed with it. I'm having so much fun. I probably have 400 pieces of jewelry at this point, and I'm just trying to find a venue to sell them off now. But I literally can sit down and just get lost in creating jewelry, and I'll watch at night. I'll watch videos on YouTube on how to do a different technique, and then I'll get up and the next time I have time to sit down, I'll try a new technique or a different type of clay. I do it with polymer clay, and it's just been so much fun. There's just nothing like getting your hands into that clay and doing different stuff. And so I do that. I love to read, and I've been reading. I love music. So those are the kind of things that I've been doing. My husband and I take walks. We love to travel. We do still do a little bit of traveling, not like we used to, because we used to do, big travel. Now we just do little travel,
Mhm.
but we still do a little bit of traveling. So that's the stuff that I've been doing to take care of myself. The things that I think have been kind of on my mind as far as what I'm really excited about, like for the future, is just really moving forward and really helping people the way that you and I have talked about, really helping them connect and get more of this in-person connection. I'm really finding that people are not happy with what's happened with the electronics and trying to connect over these apps and different stuff like that. They're not happy with it. And so we're going to go back and teach people how to connect in person again,
Mhm.
and we're excited about that, and I'm excited about moving that forward. So that's kind of what's on my mind. What are you passionate about?
I bake. I still have been baking, not as much, because I have this habit of, I gotta sample everything that I bake. So I'm trying to get better with that. So I've been baking a little bit less. I still am doing a lot of chocolate work. I'm still crafting, making like using my Cricut, and I bought this cool thing. I haven't tried it yet, but I have an aunt that we really we'll just sit on FaceTime and craft together. So we
Oh,
got what's called the Cricut mug press. So we haven't used it yet, but it's to make your own mugs and kind of really heat seal them. So I'm excited to use that. And just same reading, doing my music. I hadn't been to church in a while. I actually went on Easter Sunday, just easing back out to do things that are important. I've been working out with a trainer because I want my health to be as good as I can get it to be. I've been taking steps to, my allergy had been so severe. I just have been taking medication. We couldn't do anything else. So I'm working on just some different kind of holistic or natural things to come off some of the medication that I've been taking so that the symptoms that I have with my allergies are managed better and different things like that. So my health that's been new for me because I hate to work out. I really do. I don't like it at all. And so when people say I'm like, I don't know what planet you come from that you believe that this is fun. I don't think that this is fun at all, at all. And so I'm always teasing with the trainer that I'm working out with, because I'll say, this is not fun. And she just laughs because she knows this is not fun, but it's been necessary for me to just, reach some of the goals that I have. Like I said, this is a big birthday year for me. I'm excited about it, but I just want to make sure as I'm walking into this second half of my life that I am as healthy as I can be. So, making those changes and putting good stuff in. I thought a green smoothie was the worst thing on the planet, but now I can make it and drink it. So I've been doing that kind of stuff, just changing some of the habits that I have had, just because I find that even having a better diet has helped me with some of my anxiety symptoms also.
Mhm. Yeah, Serge gets up every morning and makes me a green smoothie. He found a recipe online for a really healthy smoothie, some fruits and veggies in it, kale, spinach, different stuff like that. It really helps, keeps everything like moving. And we also I have a psychiatrist that I collaborate with, and she believes in the holistic approach to mental health. So she doesn't go for medicine very first. She goes for diet and supplements, and then she'll go for medicine. I love that about her. But a lot of the serotonin is actually created in the gut, and the things that you need for the brain are created in the gut. And if you can get your gut really healthy, you can sometimes change around the mood situations in many people. And she will help people get their gut really healthy with probiotics and different things like that, and see if she can help them with their mood disorders by getting their gut healthy, which is kind of a new approach to things.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's really awesome. That's why I drink kombucha every day. That it's actually proven to have a lot of really gut healthy benefits to mental health as well, and stuff like that. So yeah, there's a lot of new stuff that is really exciting about your mental health that has to do with like even food allergies, like people who are allergic to gluten, dairy, or soy, or different things like that. Taking those things out of their diet is actually taking away mood disorders for some people.
Wow.
Yeah, especially gluten.
Mm-hmm.
Gluten intolerances and stuff that people don't know they have
Mm-hmm.
is sometimes taking away a mood disorder. I mean, different things like that. So it's kind of fascinating stuff going on
Yeah.
with
Awesome.
that.
I'd love for us to one day maybe have her on and talk to her about some of that. If she
That would
do
be
it,
great. I'll ask her if she'd be willing to come on our podcast. I bet she would. I bet
that'd
she
be
would.
great.
I'll
That'd
text
be,
her after this and see if she'd be willing to come on our next episode.
I miss you guys. I can't wait till we can do something in person. So
Yeah. Okay. Well, we'll look forward to it. Your birthday.
yes, yes, definitely. Thank you for joining us for All in Your Head podcast. And remember,
Mental health matters.
and if you don't deal with your stuff, it's going to deal with you. Bye-bye.
Bye.